Young ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you from your respective locations. In international news, Germany, through its new chancellor, has just challenged Russia and delivered bad news to Russia, announcing the worst. Yes, the Germany of Olaf Scholz and the Germany of Friedrich Merz is an ocean of difference between them. Friedrich Merz is someone who seems to have always harbored a rather negative attitude toward everything Russia does. The rivalry that has existed between Germany and France, between Merz and Emmanuel Macron, this competition over who will take the European leadership in directing the war against Russia-Germany, is currently winning this contest. Yes, and that's because Germany is present on all fronts. The German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, made a statement yesterday on the 28th of May 2025. In this statement, he goes beyond what Russia said, that is, beyond Russia's threats. When Russia announces the Third World War by saying that from now on, all countries that have allowed Ukraine to fire, these countries are directly entering into war against Russia. And even though Russia named Germany as the first country that will be attacked, none of this scares the German Chancellor. He is ready to get involved, and he is determined. That's why, during their famous mini summit that they recently held in Vilnius, he was very clear. He said, "Let us be determined." And following the strikes that Russia carried out last weekend, he repeated, "Let us be determined." So, given Germany's determination, NATO is asking Germany to produce more than 40,000 soldiers to enable the defense of German territory. This means that whether it's NATO or Germany, everyone is now ready to enter the next phase of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. That is, they too are truly entering the war with Russia. They are ready. So, what does the official information tell us? Let's dive deep, ladies and gentlemen. But before we continue, I ask you to share the video conference. I just got back from university, from the faculty, very tired. But I'm taking the time to decipher international news for you. So now, it's your turn. Take the time to share as much as possible. And don't forget, starting from June 1st, we're going to talk about this major African platform that will surpass Amazon called Moyen Express. Right? Moyen Express is in the comments, yes. Let's give support. We're going to give this support to our own products. I remind you that this comes straight from Burkina Faso. So according to official information, Taurus missiles will be delivered to Ukraine. More Taurus cruise missiles. So the German Chancellor made the statement on May 28th, saying that a potential delivery of Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine was not ruled out. However, he did not give a date for when Germany would deliver them, because the real war will begin from that point. As soon as Germany delivers, Ukraine will integrate them into its system, and Ukraine will strike. Russia will also target a military installation in Germany. Russia has already laid out the plan. As soon as there is a strike, Russia will also strike both Ukraine and one or more military installations in Germany. So if Germany starts getting bombed, it will start like that, little by little, with just a single military installation. Then it becomes 2 installations. Then it becomes 3 military installations. But over time, people will start accusing Russia of targeting civilian sites. And that's exactly how we started with Ukraine. So this is the Pandora's box that Germany is opening, instead of trying to solve the problem on the Ukrainian side. Even though, at the very moment we are speaking, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in the middle of negotiations with Sergei Lavrov, who is the powerful Russian foreign minister. So they are negotiating to determine the next location where the upcoming talks should be held. They are exchanging views, discussing the content of the memorandum. There you have it. Since Russia had said it was ready to work with Ukraine on a memorandum. And it is this memorandum that should lead to a peace treaty. However, the German Chancellor has emphasized the long training period required to use these missiles. The Ukrainians would need to train for a significant extended period to be able to fire the missiles themselves. You know, the German Chancellor is ready to enter the war, but he wants to buy a bit of time. Time to gather his resources, his war efforts. But above all, he wants to find an argument. In fact, he wants to throw the stone while hiding his hand. So, he wants to lead the action with an iron fist in a velvet glove. He wants to show Russia that is not him, that is not Germany, that is Ukraine that is defending itself. So they provide Ukraine with support. They train the Ukrainian military units, and Ukraine starts to take action. Well, for them, maybe this will make it so that they believe Germany will be spared. But Russia has been very clear. Ukraine does not have the technology. Even if we train them, the Ukrainian military does not have the technology that will allow them to launch these missiles. So, assistance and intervention from NATO powers will inevitably be required. And in this logic, the conflict breaks out between Russia and those NATO powers that are going to help. So they're acting clever. They point out the long training period required to use these missiles and specify that it could take several months of training for soldiers in Ukraine. Now, here's what this gentleman says. But on the other hand, NATO wants 40,000 additional German soldiers to defend against Russia. Since Germany has started to take the lead, and they know that it's Germany that is drawing Russia toward NATO, they are putting the burden, the responsibility on Germany. 40,000 additional soldiers need to be produced so that NATO can defend itself against Russia. So, is it Germany that NATO should be asking? Normally, if it's about defending NATO, all member countries are asked. But why specifically target Germany? The reason is very simple. It's because Germany has become a protect. It's Germany that is carrying the project of the conflict. So, here is the front page of international news that I'm asking you to share as widely as possible. Thank you for sharing, and on my end, I'll be back with you shortly, by the grace of the Almighty, with more news. This was the voice of your one and only Samouraï.